Coming to the park, I spotted Makoto hanging around and casually staring up at the monument. She realized we were there right away.
あれ、レイ君とみちるちゃんだ。こんにちは。こんにちは。城之内さん。
Michiru turned and bowed in the direction of Makoto's voice once she heard it.
こんなところで二人して珍しいね。あ、いや、二人一緒なのは全然珍しくないけど、もしかして私のこと探してたり？
No, it's just a coincidence. I wanted to spend a little time with Michiru since I've been spending so much time with you lately that I ended up ignoring my own family members. I told her the excuse I had prepared, a classic white lie.
そうなんだ。うん、家族は大事だよね。そうだったんですね。
Ah, that's the cold stare coming from my sister. Which reminds me, I never told Michiru the specific reason I'd been leaving for school so early every morning.
家族サービス中なら邪魔しちゃ悪いかな。いえ、せっかくの機会ですし、少々お話しさせていただいてもよろしいでしょうか。え、みちるちゃんが私と？はい。
My plan was hinging on Michiru, but still, that smile of hers was terrifying.
ほら、兄様と城之内さんは非常に仲がよろしいじゃないですか。うん、そうだね。
Makoto nodded in agreement. She was certainly quick to confirm that. So cute!
ということは、私と接する機会も今後増えていくということですよね。ああ、そっか。そうだね。みちるちゃんとは仲良くしたいね。兄様が選んだ方でしたら、私は何の問題もありません。もちろん、兄様を幸せにしてくださることが条件ですが。
Huh? What are you talking about?
まあ、この件は今は置いておきましょう。後で追求いたします。
She would pursue that topic too.
それよりも、失礼ですが、城之内さんの顔やお体に触ってもよろしいでしょうか。え？体？なんで？形を見たいのです。形？
Makoto held up her hands, clearly trying to cover her breasts. I think you're misunderstanding here. Michiru is blind, so she just wants to have some idea of your appearance by touching your face and body.
あ、そういうことか。びっくりした。まさかみちるちゃんにそっちの趣味があるのかと思っちゃった。兄様一筋ですから、そっちもこっちもありません。
Hey, leave me out of this.
こっちとはどっちですか？
Why is that your biggest question about this?
え？
Huh?
こっちとそっちと、どっちかゲシュタルト崩壊してる気がするな。
Makoto grinned and waved her hands in front of her.
まあまあ、そういうことなら好きに触っていいよ。
With pleasure!
いやいや、レイ君、無理にボケなくてもいいから。そうです、兄様。どうせまさぐるなら、私の体にしてください。
Hey, Shemp, I don't need your one-liners either.
いいえ、本気ですが。
I know. I gave Michiru a push on the back, positioning her right in front of Makoto.
よし、存分に触っていいよ。失礼いたします。
Makoto got weirdly pumped up about the whole situation, but Michiru stayed calm as she stretched out her hand. What a sight for sore eyes.
みちるちゃんの手、ひんやりしてる。
Michiru started by touching Makoto's head and cheeks, making her let out a ticklish yelp. I had gotten used to being touched like this by Michiru every morning, but it was fun watching her do it to someone else.
綺麗な人。
Michiru mumbled under her breath as she felt the outline of Makoto's face.
そんなことないよ。謙遜は必要ありません。私はお世辞を言うような人間ではありませんから。
Michiru quietly spoke her reassurance as she moved her hands across Makoto's jaw, shoulders, and upper body. She was touching Makoto in order to steal the watch, but evidently she seemed to be genuinely interested in her appearance as well.
もしかしてこれ、やっぱりこのまま胸も触られるの？何か問題でもありますか？いや、あんまりいやらしい手つきで触らないでね。ご冗談を。
Despite Makoto's nervousness, Michiru giggled as she put her hands on Makoto's chest. My little sister got to second base before me.
レイ君はレイ君で、なんか変なこと言ってるし。兄様。
Oh, come on! It's not like I can stop myself from thinking these things.
口に出す分だけ、まだ男らしいのかな。
As Makoto spoke with exasperation in her voice, Michiru finished her human braille reading and pulled her hands away.
ありがとうございました。これでよかったの？ええ。初めて城之内さんが見えました。みちるちゃんはこうやって形を知るんだね。不思議な感じ。
How did it go? I stood by Michiru's side and whispered in her ear.
すごい胸ですね。しかも、ただ大きいだけではなく、形も美しい。
Right?
時計はありませんでした。
It wasn't?
探し物はこれ？
A confident grin spread across Makoto's face as she pulled the watch out of her breast pocket. Huh? That was unexpected. Her breast pocket was, after all, where we had expected the watch would be in the first place.
いくらみちるちゃん相手でも警戒はするよ。兄様？
Michiru muttered her suspicions after gauging my reaction. Are you absolutely sure it wasn't in her inside breast pocket?
ええ。あの硬さのものがあれば、取れないまでも気づきます。みちるちゃん、もしこの時計が欲しいなら、私と勝負しようか。勝負？
Michiru and I both furrowed our brows at her sudden suggestion.
レイ君は時計にこだわってるし、このままじゃみちるちゃんも諦めないでしょ。私も時計を返すつもりはない。お互いにどうしても譲れないものがあるなら、博打で後腐れなしの一本勝負ってこと。私が勝ったら時計をもらえるのですね。私が勝ったらみちるちゃんには。
Wait, Makoto, if you're going to challenge someone, shouldn't it be me? I stepped forward, not wanting Michiru to bear all the responsibility for the situation. But Makoto shook her head from side to side.
それも楽しそうだけど、レイ君とはまだしないよ。
Yet?
レイ君とはもっと遊びたいし。だから、この勝負に私が勝ったら、みちるちゃんはしばらくレイ君には近づかないでね。そしたら、レイ君はしばらく私が独占しちゃうんだから。
Both of us siblings were lost for words. If we left Makoto to her own devices, she would eventually cause the kind of problem that could never be undone. Crow had told me that, but the word eventually made it sound like I had more time. Still, it only took a few days for her to start causing serious problems. But, no, wait. I wouldn't mind if Makoto had me all to herself. Hell, I want her to monopolize me. If she just stayed over at my house, she wouldn't cause problems for anyone else. And if I ended up having some alone time with her...
兄様、鼻が伸びていますよ。
What, it is? Wait, you wouldn't be able to see it anyway.
気配でわかります。その前に、鼻が伸びたらピノキオだよね。伸びてるのは鼻の下だよね。兄様に近づくなということですが、しばらくというのはどのくらいの期間ですか？
Hey! When Michiru seemed to be seriously considering the offer, I tried to speak up.
兄様を口を挟まないでください。
I know I ask you to do this, but you don't have to go that far.
いいえ。これは妹としてのプライドの問題です。確かに、この勝負に兄様は関係ありませんね。おっと、みちるちゃんも勝負師だね。
Damn it, you two! Do you really have to keep one-upping each other like that? If that was the case, none of us would survive in this era of social media. Or so I thought, but Michiru can't use social media to begin with. Makoto is pretty old-fashioned too, so she probably doesn't bother with it either. Did you both crawl out of a goddamn cave or something? Stop! You mustn't fight over me!
レイ君、意外と余裕あるよね。
Well, I just hate it when the atmosphere gets awkward.
それで、城之内さん。先ほどのしばらくというのはどの程度の期間ですか？
Michiru ignored me. Kinda depressing.
そうだな。夏休みいっぱいまでにしておこうか。夏休みまでではなく、夏休みの終わりまでですか。みちるちゃんが勝てば何の問題ないことだよ。
In response to Makoto's confidence, I could see Michiru swallowing the lump in her throat.
そうですね。では、私が勝ったら、時計の他に、夏休みいっぱい兄様を好きなようにする権利もいただきます。よかろう。
Huh? Wait, I thought you said this match was of no direct concern to me. Why am I one of the prizes now?
そんな昔のことは覚えていません。
Ah, Christ! You and your contradictions! What kind of fucking idiot dragged you into this anyway?
多分、レイ君だよ。
No shit! Michiru was, after all, the big guns for me, my nuclear option, to be used only as an absolute last resort.
それでは、何で勝負します？鬼ごっこにしよう。
Makoto wore the kind of mischievous smile you'd normally see from a child.
私が城之内さんに触ればいいのですね。うん。ただ、私が全力で逃げたら勝負にならないし、時間制限は1分で、範囲も狭くしておこうか。
Makoto glanced around, thinking of a suitable area.
そうだね。教室と同じくらいの広さしか、私は動かないことにするよ。たったそれだけ？
Michiru sounded surprised. And the feeling was mutual. In a space that small, Michiru could certainly chase Makoto, even if she had to rely on her hearing and sense of smell. And besides that, no matter how athletic Makoto was, if all Michiru had to do was lay one finger on her, I doubted there would be much chance of her losing. If Makoto was giving Michiru a handicap on account of her blindness, then that overconfidence would be her undoing. 1 minute, right? Before Makoto could change the rules, I took out my watch and looked at the second hand. Michiru, there are no obstacles around your feet.
ありがとうございます。
Michiru snapped her fingers several times to get a beat on the echo, and a confident smile spread across her face. Makoto, meanwhile, was wearing an amused grin of her own. Fully expecting that grin to disappear in a moment, I signaled the beginning of the match. Ready? Go! Michiru heard the starting signal and started to move forward, but her foot suddenly stopped before it could touch the ground. And then, as a blind person might normally do, she turned her ear toward Makoto nervously, trying to search for her. Even though Makoto hadn't moved an inch. She's lost. I reflexively blurted out that conclusion. What? Shit! Right after I signaled the start of the match, Makoto transformed into Misaki. Is that even allowed? Even while I complained, there was nothing I could do. Since there was no person who looked and smelled like Makoto in the area, Michiru had no chance of winning. Even if Michiru caught her, Makoto could just pretend she was Misaki. Furthermore, even if I told Michiru that she disappeared, Makoto could just transform back into her normal self and thus appear before her. If only Michiru could see. No, if she could, then Makoto would have challenged her to a different game. This had nothing to do with their own individual skills. Makoto was just a better player. Makoto, disguised as Misaki, flashed me a V sign with her fingers. Good grief! Oh, what the hell? When Makoto, disguised as Misaki, saw that I wasn't panicking, she tilted her head at me in confusion. Eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, measure for measure. Makoto, I have a special power to tell you about, though you won't remember me telling you that. Makoto was still wondering what on earth I was talking about. Slipping my hand into my pocket, I let out a sigh. My special power is being able to turn the tables whenever I please. Then I threw the pocket watch to the ground.
だからこの勝負に私が勝ったらみちるちゃんはしばらくレイ君には近づかないでね。そしたらレイ君はしばらく私が独占しちゃうんだから。
I see. So this was 5 minutes ago. At that moment, I took Michiru by the hand.
兄様？あれ？レイ君？どうしたの？
At my unexpected action, both of them turned to face me. I just remembered there's something else I need to do, so let's wrap it up for today. Let's go home, Michiru.
あら、残念ですが、強引な兄様も大好きですよ。
Ever the type to lose interest in something just as quickly as she could gain it, Michiru followed after me as soon as I said we were leaving.
へえ、せっかくの勝負だったのに。
I'll be your opponent next time, and I don't intend to lose.
それならいいかな。
Makoto looked conflicted, but ultimately all she could do was nod in agreement.
じゃあね、レイ君、みちるちゃん、また遊ぼうね。
昼間、何か時計を使ったな。
That night, Crow came into my room as I sat around idly, mulling over the day's events. Yeah, it was quite a near thing.
その様子では収穫はなさそうだが。
I wouldn't say that. If it was a battle of information, the result hadn't been against me. Even if we didn't win the match, the end result was that I saw what Makoto was planning without risking anything. I also learned that Makoto had a penchant for gambling. More than the act of gambling itself, she probably liked it more for the tension of the moment. That reminds me, when I went on that date with Makoto, the movie we saw had something to do with gambling.
何を勝手に納得しておるのだ？
Don't worry about it. Turning back time is quite a powerful ability, but it isn't all that flexible either. Straightening my posture, I turned to face Crow.
失礼な。お主が望むような耳っちい力ではないというだけではないか。
It still has its uses for me. Then I proceeded to summarize everything that had happened today to Crow. Talking to myself, as always, you could say.
いっそ、今から誠の家に行って、寝ているところから奪ってきたらどうだ。
Hey now, are you trying to throw me into a jungle where Sylvester Stallone and the Predator are waiting to ambush me?
何の話をしておる、このアホ。
Watch or no watch. If I can't do it, I can't do it. At that moment, my phone went off with a new text received.
レイ君、明日デートしない？
ほう？
Peeking at my phone's display over my shoulder as always, Crow made a strange sort of exclamation. What do you think this means?
そのままだろう。
Well, it seems that Makoto likes me, but she doesn't really think of it as love just yet.
それが分かってるなら。
Yeah, I suppose so. I was a bit concerned about the invitation, but obsessing over her watch all the time wasn't healthy. I had a hunch I could still hang out with her like I always did. The sooner I could actually get to confess to her, the better. The next day. I was in a daze, as if my body had awakened, but my brain was still asleep. This wasn't me waking up on my own either. Michiru was probably in my room.
おい、
I considered just ignoring the presence and sleeping until my alarm went off, but something didn't seem right. I cracked open my eyes to see Crow casually floating in the air before me. What is it?
おはよう。
Huh? Hearing a voice that couldn't have possibly been there, I immediately leapt out of bed.
おう、朝から元気だね。
What are you doing here?
いや、レイ君と一緒に登校しようと思ったから、ついでに起こしてあげようかなって。
Thanks?
どういたしまして。
ようやく起きたか。
With Makoto's jovial voice came a thoroughly displeased voice as well. It seemed that Crow had tried to wake me up upon realizing Makoto had broken into the house. I raised up a hand in a gesture that wouldn't seem out of place from Makoto's perspective, but which was actually directed at Crow as a sort of impromptu thanks, I guess. At this point, I couldn't be too surprised at anything Makoto did.
面白かったから、もうちょっと寝顔を見ていたかったんだけどな。意外と寝顔は可愛いね。
What time is it? I asked myself while fumbling around for the phone I'd left beside my pillow.
6時ちょっと過ぎくらいかな。
Do you always wake up early in the morning, Makoto?
そうだね。うちは日の出くらいには人が起き出してるよ。
Oh, your underlings.
そうそう、朝から掃除したりしてるの。
Sounded like those guys had it rough, but what really felt weird to me was the fact that I was talking to Makoto in my own room at this hour. It wouldn't have been that weird if it were Michiru or DD, and even Miu wouldn't have been that out of place here, since she was Michiru's close friend. Makoto, on the other hand, was just another pretty face from my class. I was still in my pajamas, and if I really wanted to, I could have pushed Makoto down on the bed at this very moment. The two of us looked at each other without saying anything. It was a quiet morning, absent even of the cries of cicadas. I reached out to touch Makoto's cheek without a single thought in my mind. Makoto's shoulders trembled, but that was her only reaction. She didn't resist or reject me at all. Her skin was soft and smooth.
どうしたの？急に。
Makoto blushed, staring at me with the slightest hint of suspicion. That was... For a moment, I just watched her reaction. I was starting to get the feeling that Michiru or DD would burst into the room at any moment. But nothing happened. Huh?
まあ、我が輩は見てるがな。
Let me just pretend Crow doesn't exist for a minute. Makoto. I called out her name. Makoto cocked her head to the side and gave me the cutest smile I'd ever seen.
何？なんて。いいよ。
Makoto closed her eyes. Makoto held the watch in her hand. That was a dead giveaway of how she'd used it to break in here. I held my breath as I drew closer to her. Then I laid my hand on top of hers. Makoto, relax your muscles for me.
肩から？
No, your fingers. There was no chance I'd be able to take her watch from her when she had such a vice-like grip on it.
レイ君の育児なし。
おう、お主にしてはよく我慢したな。
Haha! I couldn't help but laugh at how stupid this situation was.
一回くらい普通の女の子っぽくキスもしてみたかったのに。
I thought you were asking me to do that. Besides, Makoto, being kissed for the first time isn't gonna make you suddenly feel more like a normal girl.
け？
Anyway, I need to change. Could you wait in the hallway or at least just turn your head?
ゆっくり見てるよ。
You fucking kidding me?
私だって裸を見られてるんだし。おあいこ。
That is true. I doubt that situation was anything like this. Well, it's not like I had to take my underwear off anyway, so it wasn't actually a big deal. I don't think anyone finds it that interesting to watch a man change, but Makoto watched me with a big fat grin on her face. I finished changing without incident, washed my face in the bathroom, and then returned to the room. Now then, good morning.
おはよう、レイくん。
Did you have breakfast?
もりもり食べてきたよ。
Good, you're a growing girl. As an aside, I noticed that Crow had disappeared from the room. I have to go eat breakfast too, though.
待ってるから、ゆっくり食べてきてもいいよ。エッチな本とか DVD を探しながら暇つぶししてるから。
I'm just going to have a bit of rice for breakfast, so behave yourself and don't touch anything while I'm gone.
はーい。
Hearing her casual response, I then rushed over to the main building.